I would suggest that you ask permission first.
Well, yeah. Does anyone record their classes?
Every class or what is the purpose?
Well, I was thinking about doing it to see where I went wrong or what I can do better, what kind of don't make. So maybe show my teachers do that or answer the question, like feedback.
Well, what? I would ask permission and then
Right.
not to publish it, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Otherwise, I guess best way is to let parents know if you're gonna do this. You know, maybe the first month of every class. Maybe you need not. You know, nowadays, you know, personal rights is so high. You know, sometimes when we use a picture, you know, a student knows and says, "Hey, teacher, how come you didn't get my permission?" You know, so if you're doing that, you know, of course, that you know, you're doing for your personal, you know, to upgrade your personal teaching skills, which is very good. But if you do that like I said, every period for the first month, then I would say that, you know, talk to a parent, at least the parents explain why.
Even if it's not going to be online, you have to ask them and not the teacher.
Well, because you do it every week,
What if you
right? That's probably, you know, it's not like, you know, usually, for example, some teacher will watch me for my class, right? You know, the teachers from teachers college or from other school, you know, they take pictures. Usually we don't let parents know because that's one time only, right? However, because if you're thinking about, you know, gonna watch yourself for a long period of time, and then I would talk to the school, see maybe the school say, oh yeah, okay, but I would ask, say, should I get parents' permission? Because sometimes the school's answer is not always correct. You know, they wouldn't know what would happen, and because nowadays kids go home, who knows what they're going to say to their parents? Hey, you know, my teachers always take pictures, you know, videotape, and then some sensitive parents. You never know what's going to happen. So think well-rounded, you know, by taking pictures, by taking video of the class, what might be happening. You know, the only thing is, what I'm saying is that try to avoid things that, unpleasant things that happen afterwards. You know, because you're thinking, I'm improving myself, right, in teaching wise. That is a very good reason why I cannot support you. Why can you support me? But you just sometimes you have, you know, parents that things like that. Okay? All right, attendance. All the attendance. Well, we have a. You should. Every school should prepare attendance sheet for you. Okay. I think Evelyn already told you you're working from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. But some school they ask you to come in 10 till 8, and then you get to leave 10 to 4. Okay, so that every school is different. And then lunch. Do you know anything about your lunch? Can you leave to have lunch? Nowadays, probably most of school, majority of school, I would say no. Okay, so my suggestion to you is, usually we have school lunch, you know, what you can pay. About a meal is close to $40 a day, so they will count it out the day throughout the semester, and then you have to pay in advance. So all you need to do is prepare, you know, maybe a tray or a couple, you know, a bowl for soup and a box for rice and dishes, you know, and then you'll get it. They'll tell you where to get your lunch, and then you can bring it back and then eat it in your office. That's probably the easiest way. And then I think majority of schools serve vegetarian and non-vegetarian. Okay, so you get to choose what you prefer. Okay, you tell them in advance. Okay, but if you do not like school lunch, second option is bring your own lunch. You make your own sandwich, or you see if the school has a microwave that you can heat up. You know, that's probably or you go hungry and then you eat afterwards. The reason we won't let you go out and eat lunch is because if you do not take leave of absence for that 1 hour that you leave for lunch, what if you get across, even though there's a 7-Eleven right across from school, something happened. You got you leave the work premises and you didn't take a leave of absence. So the insurance will pay. The school will cover you. Okay? So if you need to take a month off, you probably have to pay. 1 hour, 1 period is $609. Do you know that? If you take a personal leave, right? So how many classes? 20 weeks, 20 classes per week times 609. You probably have to pay. But if you take a leave of absence, of course, that's covered. So that's why a lot of schools, they wouldn't, we used to let teachers, the teacher just live right around behind, like I said, right around the school. And then suddenly the principal saying, because we do hear a lot of examples happening to Chinese teacher and foreign teachers. So we don't want to get into that kind of math. So we start saying, okay, teacher, please to understand, if you really think that you need to go home and eat your wife's delicious lunch, then take a leave of absence every day for that 1 hour. Otherwise, so next day, what he does was just bring the lunch box. So just keep that in mind, okay? And then documents, all the documents, if you need to do something, blah, 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 these are the things that your head teacher will be in charge. Okay, evaluation. Evaluation is done, especially your new teacher. Basically, you know that you have 3 months probation, right? So in this 3 months probation, usually the school is going to watch you closely. But I don't know if they're going to take what we call the official evaluation or not. Okay, but we were asked to do evaluation every 2 months. But for Ximen, we will do evaluation every month. We'll come up with that, before probation. But after probation, then that's every 2 months. So at the end, all these grades will be counted, and then that's how your bonus is calculated, based on that. Okay. So and let me give you an example. What kind of evaluation that we will be watching? Okay. Big enough? See? Okay. All right. This is Ximen's format. Okay. Every school is slightly different, but basically, I will all say we're all watching the same thing, but just the maybe proportion, the percentage of each section is different. Okay. Like the first 30%, we will be watching your lesson plan. If it's due on time. All right. And then if the lesson plans is organized, illustrated. Is it well organized? That counts for 30%. All right, and then 40% is in class. All right, especially this is your co-teachers in your classroom. They will be watching for, right? When they get at the end of 2 months, they will fill out this form and give it to the head teacher. Okay, all right. Is the lesson according to the lesson plan, or suddenly you were trying to do something different, not according to the lesson plan. If you're doing that a lot, then and then are you using a body language or other teaching techniques to help students to understand you better? Okay, and then teaching activity, can it coincide with your teaching content, and is it going to coincide with student learning ability? Even though we're watching the language that you're using when you're explaining things to the students, are you able to be careful. Please do not think that your co-teacher is your translator, because over the course of 14 years, we have learned, the worst thing that a co-teacher can do is being a translator and a scorekeeper for your foreign teachers. So do use your co-teacher smartly, Okay, that's why we think that lesson plan is very important, which I'm going to talk about, later. All right. Try to, even though you're the one drafted up with the lesson plan mainly, right? When you think of an activity, try to involve your co-teacher. How am I going to use that co-teacher as a teaching prompt? Use her. That's what you need to keep in mind. If I find a teacher that are teaching individually, I would personally think that sometimes I will jump in somewhere. Okay, so no, not to interrupt, but somehow, because personally, me as a co-teacher, I really think I don't wanna be just an observer in the classroom. That's not true. I'm also a teacher in the classroom. Even though I may not be talking all the time, I may not be standing in the center of the classroom all the time, but I am still in the classroom, and this is our classroom, not Teacher Kath's classroom or Teacher Lisa's classroom. It's Teacher Lisa and Teacher Kath's classroom. They are our kids. We are together to teach them what we want them to learn. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's important. Okay, all right. Your attitude counts for 30%. Okay, which means that you can communicate well. You are not a whiner. You are not a complainer. Okay, you have a very good impression. You leave a very good impression to school. Hey, you know what? You also have to keep a good a good relationship with a homeroom teacher, because a lot of you is not going to get a subject classroom. You're not going to have an English classroom to yourself. Like Kat is not going to get one. She's going to pack up the bag and go from one class to the next. Okay, so usually when you go into the classroom, you will see a couple kinds of homeroom teachers. When they see you, they say hi. They'll, oh hi, and then they'll put their head down, because they were intimidated by person who is speaking English, because they think, oh, my English is not good, so don't bother me. Just do what you're supposed to do. Don't come. But sometimes you find some homeroom teachers, their English is a little okay, and then they're trying to chat with you. Okay, so try to be nice with them, even though their English is not as perfect as you are. Okay, and then usually when you walk into the classroom, the board is filled with what? Chinese flashcards, or on this side of the blackboard is filled with numbers. What are those numbers for? For grounded, not allowed to take a break. For missing homework for Chinese, for math, for social study, for science, for art, for English. So that will take up 1/3 of the classroom, the blackboard. And on the other side of the board is what? Today's homework. And on top, in the center of the board, is something else. So that only leaves you that little space in the middle. So what should you do? You take the eraser and it's probably the worst thing. So what should you do? Usually a lot of people start complaining, right? Oh, I know that's painful, because I got my own classroom. So, but I used to be in that situation, so I understand you perfectly.
Well, we have projectors, right?
Yeah, you do have a projector. And then, talking about projector, you're gonna save your files onto that computer, right? And then you find the desktop is filled with all kinds of material. And then teachers, usually we have this CD-ROM, right? And then, they're still up there for the previous Chinese or math class. I wouldn't suggest to bring your laptop, because that connector, because everything is unplugged, plug. Usually the connection is going to be pretty bad after a while.
My school actually recommended me to.
Oh, really?
They said all the form teachers.
To the classroom, or to the office working?
Well, maybe it's just the office.
Yeah, like Kat, I told her to bring her own laptop, because usually if the school do provide, computer that is for subject teacher to use, but they're in what? In Chinese mode. And then you start complaining. Oh, it's all Chinese. How can I understand? Same thing. When you walk into the homeroom teacher's computer, it's going to be in Chinese mode. So what are you going to do?
So what were you saying about the connection?
Usually the connector, because it's unplugged, right? It's unplugged to plug into your computer. Every week, more of the frequency gets, and usually the computer, all those, it's all not very good. So I wouldn't do that. Especially your flash, it's filled with viruses. So maybe it's better to store your files in the cloud and you download carefully. If the internet is not working on that day, always have plan B. Do not, because nowadays we all, same thing with me. Nowadays we all have everything, in the PPT, in the PowerPoints or whatever. Okay, you walk in, the computer just not working. What do? You start fixing it, and let kids wait? Of course not. So you need to have something, that without that computer, you still are able to teach. You need to have that kind of backup plans with you all the time. Okay, and then complain. There's no use complaining. You complain to your co-teacher. Well, you complain to me. What can I do? All I can say, I will probably tell you. Didn't I tell you plan B? And when I say that, I know you don't feel good. I don't feel good either. But that's the truth. And it's going to happen quite often. So always have plan B. If the computer is not working, what am I going to do? Okay? All right? And then, so come back to your homeroom teachers. First thing I would do is, number one, set out a file for yourself, teacher Kath, on that desk. Okay? And then I wouldn't complain. Just accept whatever you have right in front of you. If it's a mess, classroom, with a desktop that is messy, try to find yourself a space. Okay? That's what I would suggest. Okay? And then with the blackboard, do ask before anything that can be erased. And then, if really gets really bad, that you don't have any space to use for your classroom, talk to your co-teacher and have the co-teacher talk to the homeroom teacher. Please. Well, basically the homeroom teacher should know, hey, this is not only his or her own classroom. Hey, the English teacher come in and teach, social study teacher come in and teach. So maybe the homeroom teacher doesn't know how we feel. So we need to let them know. But by telling them that please at least clean up a little space for us, for English teacher class, for English teacher to use, you may not get the right answer. Next week when you walk in, the same thing still happens. So what would you do? You go to your head teacher. Well, actually I don't have an answer to that either. Just hopefully just do the best you can. Okay? Sitting arrangements. Usually, you walk into the classroom, they can sit it in a different arrangement, in rows, in teams. Okay? My suggestion to you is that if you have a certain arrangement that you prefer, okay, maybe 4 in a group, 6 in a group, or whatever, okay, ask your co-teacher to tell your homeroom teacher before English class starts. Ask the kids to set up the arrangement that you want, but make sure when you're designing your activity, utilize the arrangement. Because people do watch, even though your homeroom teacher is sitting there grading, sometimes they'll put their heads up and then they'll watch. What are you doing? And then when they realize, hey, you asked me to put the arrangement in this kind of sitting arrangement and I don't see you use it, why am I going to help you? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so and then of course try to train your kids. If you can ask less of the homeroom teacher's help, the better, right? Especially when you're teaching older kids, okay, starting grade 4, grade 5, grade 6. Some of the kids are very good, so assign them as your little helper. You know, every time when it's English class time, always ask them to help. You know, call out loud. Hey, put it in a classroom sitting arrangement. Tell them to do that, and then do not. I would suggest that you ask the kids to do that before the bell rings, because when you walk in and you start asking kids to put those together, 5 minutes is gone. Okay, so usually do that and then make that a habit. You know, once you train your kids into a learning habit, they will know it without you putting. You don't have to say a word. You know, you do something. You know, you do a little gesture. Kids already know. Okay, and then usually we encourage teacher. For example, majority of our English class are pushed up in the morning because we think that kids learn better in the morning. Okay, so usually we're 4 in a row, like we say. Okay, so what we do is usually we just pack up the bag and we move on to the next class. Okay, so usually you are there before the bell rings. Okay, and what does that tell kids? Because usually when I run from the field, teachers are already there. They're standing there waiting for the kids. So be on time is also important. Okay, it depends. You know, some school is bigger than the other. Okay, some smaller school only got one building, so that's easier. However, if you have a bigger school, that you need to kind of watch your time, you know, from your office to your classroom, how long does it take, you know, and then make sure that everything is ready before you go to the classroom. This running back and forth is just kind of a waste of time. Okay, these are kind of things that kind of we watch for. Okay, and then you will be sometimes you will be asked to design worksheets. Okay, like Shimon, you know that besides every kid has a student book, right? And then besides the student book, every kid has a workbook that go along with the student book. But at Shimon, this activity book, the workbook is Chinese teacher's job. So we will be in charge of grading them. We will be in charge of collecting them. Okay, so what we need a foreign teacher to do is design a worksheet that go along with that certain unit. Okay, so that a foreign teacher is in charge of grading them, collecting them, designing them. Okay, so that's how we share the workload at Shimon. But you have to find out, you know, is there a requirement for you to come up with a worksheet? Of course, important is that you grade them, you keep a record, okay? Because all these record has to be compiled at the end of semester, and you're gonna give that grade, you know, to your Chinese teacher to be part of the homework grades. Okay, all right. And then support to school English activities. You know that the first semester we're gonna have Halloween coming up. We're gonna have Christmas coming up. We're gonna have New Year's coming up. So a lot of school is going to do not probably a little Halloween activity, but a lot of school focusing on Christmas activity. Okay, so they're gonna ask you to do something. Okay, maybe design a lesson or maybe a small lesson that you have to put in besides your regular lesson. You need to do something before. So they're going to tell you in advance. They're going to ask you, okay, can you be a Santa on Christmas Day? Or can you be something else? Or maybe the school has a bigger Christmas event. They're going to ask you to be part of the activity. Okay, so hopefully the school will let you know in advance. Okay, and then try to work with them. Okay, all right. And then, like I said, be punctual, attendance, and leave. Take leave discreetly. Discreetly. This is what I'm saying is that you all know that you have 14 days of leave, personal and sick days combined, right? sick day, of course, this is inevitable. So if you get sick, of course, we want you to stay. So what do you do when you need to take a sick day? That when you wake up that morning and you don't feel comfortable, what do? Call your head teacher first. That's the first thing that you need to know. All right? If she or he doesn't pick up the phone, please leave a text message or voice message. Okay? Or call the school. Okay? And then pretty much every school, when the school phone rings, it's always the operator. Okay, usually nowadays we have a recording saying that for English, this is Shimen Elementary School. For English, please dial 2424, blah blah blah, something like that. So that's the number you need to dial. Or if you probably have to jot down your head teacher's extension, okay, so you can get to her. Or if you have an English office, that's the extension that you need to remember. Okay, your head teacher's cell phone number is important. Don't just drop him or her an email. Usually, maybe my habit is I go to the school. The first thing I check the mail, and then I don't see anything. I just shut it down, and then I move on with my work. So probably mail is not working. It's probably not a good idea. Okay. Phone is probably more direct. When I usually talk to my foreign teacher, I say my phone is 24 hours. I'm on call 24 hours. Okay, you can call me anytime, and I'm usually up pretty early. So at least let me know in advance. Why? Don't call me. Don't let the school know that you're gonna take a leave of absence at 8:30. That's very late. Even though we all have the lesson plan ready, still. For your grade 1, 2, 3, and 4, for your co-teaching class, your co-teachers in charge of take over the class. And hopefully you guys have discussed the lesson plan. And then your co-teacher knows what to do. But make sure that, I don't know. The best solution is that she or he has your PowerPoint. Everything, the flashcard, you already put it in a little bag. So your co-teacher, what she can do is just pick up the bag and then go to the class and start teaching the class like you were there. Okay? But if you don't have that ready, then of course you need to give your co-teacher a little time to kind of get ready. Right? Okay? All right. But how about for your grade 5 and 6? You're teaching alone. So who is going to sub for you? Nobody. I cannot sub for you. I have my own class. Even though if I don't have my class, I might be able to sub for you, but I don't know if I get paid. So nobody. So what I can do is, the only thing, if we cannot find a sub teacher from outside of the school to teach, to sub for you, then the only thing I can do is I call the homeroom teacher saying, sorry teacher, our foreign teacher is sick today, so can we switch the class? I switch the class, so the homeroom teacher will replace they will take one class and replace the block. All right, and when you come back the next day, you need to return your class to that homeroom teacher, and then what you need to do, you have to look over the homeroom teacher's the schedule and to find a block that you're free and that is her or his class, and then you teach your lesson again. Okay? So if your class is taught by a sub teacher, which means that you have to be deducted $609 from your salary. If you moved your class, switch your class with your homeroom teacher, then of course there is no deduction. You just have to make it up, okay? But sometimes the school will not give you a choice for if you want a deduction or you want to switch a class. Usually they'll say, oh, okay, then we will find you a sub if they're able to. Okay, then they will just do the deduction. Even though if you want to do a switch, they probably say no. It's very tough to switch, so they'll just somehow hire somebody. So you have to be careful, especially if you're sick that day or if you're planning on taking personal leave, think about your scheduling. especially if you're taking personal leave in advance. I would suggest see if you can do a little switch. Usually your schedule is pretty tight as well because you know how many hours that you teach? You can teach up to 23. I don't know how many hours, like Kath has 21. Usually 21, that's pretty full, you know, with the blocks. And then you have to make sure that the block that you're free, the homeroom teacher is teaching that period. You can only switch class with